Speedway Report is produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for Racers Reunion Radio. Well, NASCAR's new aero package made its full-on debut in Las Vegas. Did it live up to the hype? Hometown guy Kyle Busch went for a triple-header sweep, and rules, and some manipulation. We've got all this and more. Welcome to Speedway Report. We are on Monday, March the 4th, 2019. Isn't it great to say March? We're live in Lake Norman, Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina. I'm Patrick Reynolds, and thank you for joining us in the fastest half hour in racing. March. Warmer weather. I know those up north are saying, Patrick, you're crazy. Warm weather will not come here. Not coming. Not going to happen. Trust me, it is. My folks in Connecticut, the spring sizzler is less than 2 months away, and you're just about a month out on the icebreaker. Keep your fingers crossed. It is coming. Meanwhile, let's talk about racing in a little bit warmer part of the country. I moved down south for a reason, guys. Just a tip of the hat to you. Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Tour was in Las Vegas, Nevada. Triple header for the weekend, Cup, Xfinity, and Truck. On Friday night, the trucks were got by Kyle Busch. On Saturday, the Xfinity race was won by Kyle Busch. On Sunday, oh so close, Mr. Busch finished a pretty strong top 5 and third. However, the big check went to Joey Logano. Penske and the Fords showing their strength early with Keselowski in second. Last week's winner in Atlanta. Penske, Ford looking strong on downforce tracks in 2 sets of rule packages. Way too early to make predictions, but that looks to be a strong out-of-the-gate start for the boys with the blue oval. To kick off the weekend last Thursday, NASCAR's K&N Pro Series West stock cars ran on the dirt at the Las Vegas short track just outside the Super Speedway. Hailie Deegan won the race there. We're going to touch on that a little bit touch on that. Stories there. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Also at Las Vegas on the dirt were the World of Outlaws sprint cars. They raced Wednesday where Tim Schaefer led all 30 laps, got the A-main checkered flag. On the flip side, on Thursday, Donnie Schatz only led 1 lap. He passed Darren Pittman on the final lap of the A on Thursday to grab the checkered flag. Some big short track races over the weekend for pro late models in Montgomery Speedway in Alabama. They ran the Alabama 200 on Saturday night, won by Augie Grill, and the Meltdown was held at the historic Greenville Pickens Speedway in Greenville, South Carolina. Devin Morgan was the winner there, the 125-lap feature. Now, he was just a guest on Jerry Smith's Stars radio show the previous half hour. So if you want to catch a chit-chat with him about Greenville, go to Jerry Smith's homepage on Facebook. He's friends with me. You can filter it through there and find Jerry Smith. In the video he posted just a few moments ago has got a interview with Mr. Morgan, the winner of the Meltdown in Greenville. Let's talk about, some stuff. Plenty of stuff over the weekend. We kicked it off so busy in February Speed Weeks. Everybody went home, taking a little bit of a breather before we're all ready to kick back into action soon with all the short track stuff, I mean. Those guys were hot and heavy for a week, 2 weeks down there. Went home, quick rebuild, and then hit the road. The only guys that pretty much stayed on the road were the World of Outlaws. They they had a rain out 2 weeks ago in Texas and then race this past weekend in Nevada. They will be on the West Coast as they begin their early season California swing as they do the first part of every Outlaws season. Let's talk about the aero package in the Cup race in Las Vegas. This had a lot of headlines, hype, build-up, or at least curiosity. No guarantees for this fantastic race, but there was a lot of speculation. What would we see? Now, we got a taste of this 2 weeks ago in Atlanta, 2 Sundays ago, I should say, and we all look back to the All-Star race last May in Charlotte as the template for this new rules package. I said, wow, why don't we just put this on everywhere? And they'll race like that. Well, as you can see, they don't. Yeah, they didn't. Not that they raced bad. I thought the racing in Atlanta and Las Vegas was good. The cars are certainly more stable. We have look at the caution flags. We've had 6 caution flags in those 2 events. 4 of them have been for stage breaks, scheduled stage breaks. You know how I feel about stage breaks. About as tasty as pickles and milk are stage breaks, like playoffs. But I'm going down a dark road again. The other caution, Kyle Busch got into the fence at Atlanta with his tire issue. So he's put some debris on there. And the other caution flag was for the crash that B.J. McLeod and Ryan Preece had, on pit road at Atlanta. So we can count, and Preece went back out on the track and spilled some oil down. So those 1-2 cautions, but the cars aren't breaking. They're not getting away from these guys. There's not a lot of crashing, spinning, wrecking. These cars have a whole lot of downforce. So we're really looking at racing. I mean, I wish these stage breaks weren't in there because guys race differently with these stage breaks. But for the racing itself, for what I can see, for what they will give me, is racing in its purest form. We had a very close finish at Las Vegas with Keselowski making a try at Logano on the final lap. Third place, Kyle wasn't that far behind. And we had, what's important to point out here is we had almost a 100-lap run to the finish of the Vegas race, green flag racing. So we had, pit stop cycle in there. And I saw on-track racing was good. We can't have every finish be Darlington 2003 every single week. I get that. I'm fine with that. I don't expect that. I've seen plenty of good races in my day, plenty of lousy races in my day. But the racing itself, the side-by-side stuff is good. I think anyway. I think the racing is good. It's not phenomenal. It's not this mind-blowing, oh my goodness, you got to see this thing. The cars are picking out a really bigger air wake, yet it's kind of magnified what they always did. The restarts were so critical. They still are. The racing after the restarts is, what, is it crazy? Is it kind of insane? It's big, isn't it? We've got 3 and 4 wide. We saw crazy restarts in Atlanta. We saw crazy restarts in Vegas where the first few laps really put you on the edge of your seat, like some intense 3 and 4 wide racing. Now, when we had the single file and double file racing, remember the Twisted Sister, that the restarts were always a big deal because that's where you could really make up ground. Because when you got green flag racing and a few laps in, it was tough to catch a guy, run a guy down, close, pass, all that good stuff. Because of the air wake, it closed up so tight behind these cars. It's leaving a bigger wake in the back of these cars. We've always said the truck racing is so much better because their box is going through the air. Now let's dirty up the cup cars, give them a bigger wake of air, and the guy behind can pass. However, we're still facing this aero-tight condition for these guys. They have this wake of air. They close on the car in front of them. They get to a few car lengths and they stall out. It's been that way for, a couple decades now. It started in the 90s. And we're still facing that to this day, that aero tight. And some fans and some folks, I'm sick of seeing aero tight. I can't stand the term anymore. Too bad, it's there. They haven't gotten rid of it. NASCAR has not gotten rid of it. But it certainly has improved. I think the actual racing, when you don't have a lot of crashes and a lot of restarts and the artificial stuff, you get down to pure racing. Can we have a long green flag run? Can a guy catch another guy from the back? Can he run him down? Can he pass him? The answers to all these, if I'm seeing, is yes. It's not this dramatic bomb, mic drop, shift, or evolution of cup racing that is taking us to this new level, new world, new candy land. That's not it. We're not seeing that. I didn't expect to see that. There was a lot of speculation on what we would see in Las Vegas. A lot of the naysayers said, oh boy, we're going to have a big pack like Talladega. We're going to have one guy spin and we'll have a 30-car wreck, and then we'll have a 10-car race to the finish for the next 350 miles. There was that prediction. There was a prediction that there would be no change. The cars would be strung out and there wouldn't be that much racing. We didn't see that either. We saw some side-by-side racing. We saw some passing. I don't think we saw everything that everybody wanted us to see. NASCAR was hoping for more passing, I'm sure. There was passing. It was certainly better. The racing is better than what it was. I'll give it that. It's definitely a step in the right direction. I don't need crashes. I don't need restarts. I don't need the artificial stage breaks and restarts to hold my interest, to keep me entertained, to keep me watching this. I don't. I really don't. I'm fine with it. But sure, let's see what they can do to make it better. But it wasn't. I think people did not manage their expectations and maybe thought we'd see this new era or new world of racing on downforce tracks. We did not. We saw better. I give you that. I thought it was better. I thought it was a lot better. I didn't think it was a massive difference in the racing. They are off to Phoenix this week. It's a mile track, but it's flat. In the Cup world, that's considered a short track because you keep a short track brake package on the car, and you won't have as much downforce as you do with the slower speeds as you would on the banking of Vegas and Atlanta. But California in 2 weeks, another good litmus test for this type of rules package, and see where they go. They'll come back to the East Coast for a good chunk of the next several weeks after Phoenix and California. And then I don't think NASCAR would put any changes into play before then because of the shuttle service these guys got. The haulers pretty much stay on the West Coast, and they shuttle trucks back and forth to midpoints, or actually to the Speedway, with different cars, different parts, different pieces, clean uniforms, food, all that good stuff. So there was a lot of speculation. This race, Vegas, was under a little bit of a microscope. And it came off, if you put too much hype and spotlight on it, I think it came off kind of flat. If you managed your expectations, I thought it was a decent race. I did. I thought it wasn't bad. I complain about Cup as much as anything, not so much the racing, but procedural, which we'll get to in a little bit. But it's fine. It was good. I'm glad to see the direction they're going. The racing is better. Not fantastic, just better. Now we'll talk about the big weekend as well, getting off from the Cup and getting on to Friday and Saturday with Kyle Busch winning 2 races and going for 3 in the sweep. I love the fact that he races so much. I love the fact that he gives so much. He's filed an entry, by the way, for the Nashville All-American 400 in April, which has been swapped from 400 laps to 300 laps. But he's going to race the Cup race on Saturday night in Richmond, Virginia, and then run the late model Sunday at Nashville, Tennessee. The guy's a racer. Love him, hate him, that's fine. But he's totaled up. I want to talk about managing expectations. He's totaled up in the top 3 series, 197 career wins. Please, for the love of everybody, do not compare this to Richard Petty's 200 Cup wins. There is no comparison. If you want to chalk up Kyle Busch's 50-something Cup wins to Richard's 200 Cup wins, that is an honest and fair comparison. If you want to point out that Kyle Busch has made 197 trips to victory lane, remarkable accomplishment. Love the guy as a racer. Love what he's doing. But let's stop on hashtag fake news that he's breaking any record of Richard Petty's. No, he is not. No, he is not. I'm going to mention the 197 career wins. He's going to keep knocking down victory lanes. I'm sure he's going to clear 200 career wins here. But do not compare him in breaking any record of Richard Petty. That is fake news. We complain about that in politics all the time. You got it spot on here in motorsports if you compare Kyle Busch's feats to Richard Petty's feats. Richard Petty is retired. Let his record stands. Kyle Busch is still racing. I'm enjoying watching him race and keep racking up wins and keep doing his thing and do what he does for the world of motorsports. Be real, people. 200 wins for the king. That's that. Kyle Busch's 197 is not, N-O-T not, in the same league as Petty's 200 in the Cup Series. Now, also in Las Vegas, they had a big week at the dirt track, as that was some preliminary races leading up to the big super speedway. And on Thursday night in the World of Outlaw race, the support series, the NASCAR West Series race, all 3 features featured a last lap pass for the win. And as Dave Despain pointed out in a well-placed tweet, no rules package can force that. Now, I took that a step further, whether he meant it that way or not, in that aerodynamic rules play into that effect. You can't just magically create that every week. What makes that special is that it does not happen every week. That just happens because racing turned out that way. That's what makes it so special. If the last lap pass was automatic every week, it would not be as special. You can't force these things. Now, we've been forced excitement. Here's where I get back on the soapbox of the chase, the playoffs, stages, Lucky Dog, the wave around. The Cup Series has thinned out their grandstands with so many gimmicks and so many gimmies and so many participation trophies. It drives me nuts that NASCAR brass keeps their head in the sand and does the ostrich impression and won't acknowledge the screw-ups they've made over the past 15, 16 years. You cannot manufacture excitement and continue the authenticity of a sport. You cannot reset the Super Bowl every year at the 2-minute warning to a tie score and expect people to take it legitimately and think it's exciting. It's not. It's phony. The last lap passes of the dirt track, authentic, natural racing was allowed to happen. NASCAR rules you can't build a body and an aero kit that will guarantee that for every downforce package race. That's just not going to happen. It won't happen. The playoffs. I've been on my soapbox for this for years, since 2004. This is no way to decide a championship. It's phony. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It's not going to work. Get rid of it, please. Stage racing. We saw them perform that way in Atlanta and Las Vegas. We've seen that for 2 years now. Artificial restarts, artificial excitement, artificial. We're manufacturing stuff. Stop. For the love of God, stop trying to manufacture stuff. Please, let's let stuff play out. I don't even like a halfway break in the race for short track races for tires and fuel for these guys. Let a race play out. If you got to stop a race so they got to refuel, then the race needs to be shorter. Or we need to go to live pit stops. Let's not have a coffee break. And that's what we have here. These 2 stages is still not a fan. We put guys a lap down. First guy should not get the free pass back. We should restart them, I think, with the lap cars on the inside so they got a shot at racing their way back like we did. We fixed so many things in NASCAR that we're not broken. And we're still doing it, but it's about time other people were speaking up as well. I've gone hoarse for so many years of speaking up against this stuff and writing as well. The wave around rule. I understood just fine why the leader would sometimes start 30th in line on a restart because of how the caution fell during green flag pit stops. I'm fine with that. I understood it just fine. But we simplified this stuff, brought it down to the dumbest, lowest common denominator, and get a wave around. So the leader has to start behind the pace car, and there can't be any lapped cars in front of them. If that's how that's how the caution falls, that's how the pace car picks up the field on the pit stop cycle through, so be it. It wasn't hard to figure out before, but we're just giving so much away. We're giving laps back left and right. This wave around in the chase, and we got automatic playoffs. I mean, the stages. We're socialized racing. We're just giving stuff away. Where's it taking away from? The legitimacy of stock car racing. But we see this brief, bright, shining star of the last lap pass or something exciting, and we just try to force that down our throats every time. What makes it special is that it doesn't happen every year. What was wrong with the Latford system? Nothing. In 2003, Matt Kenseth clinched the championship with a couple races to go. The very same system also gave us 1992 in the Classic Hooters 500. There was nothing wrong with it, and we fixed so many things that weren't wrong with it. Hopefully, with the new leadership in NASCAR, I hope that we start going the other way and start returning stock car racing to what we all know and love. Speaking of what we all know and love, and speaking of returning to greatness, Take yourself back, my stock car fans, take yourself back to the 1980s. And as we saw NASCAR, we were involved with it, and we saw it grow bigger, a little more every year, a little more every year, a little more every year. And there was a big piece of the puzzle to that. That was television. And television, and particularly ESPN, helped grow NASCAR. NASCAR, in turn, helped ESPN grow. We are poised. We are set, I think, for something like that to happen again. It's going to begin this Sunday, and it's going to begin with IndyCar. IndyCar has a new broadcast package exclusively with NBC. All the races will be on NBC and NBCSN. They're going to build their cable package. They're going to build their broadcast, and they're going to put this thing out. IndyCar is going to start. Well, has been rebuilding for a long time. Has been rebuilding for over 10 years. This is the next step in their evolution. As IndyCar grows bigger and bigger each year, the television ratings grow bigger, the attendance grows bigger. This to IndyCar and NBC, I think, is 1981, 82 or so in NASCAR Cup racing, the Winston Cup Series. I think you're going to start to see that this year in IndyCar with the split, the fallout in the late 80s and the problems in the early 90s, and then the split in the mid 90s, then the reunification in 2008, I think it was. And now here we are 11 years later. This broadcast package could be right up our alley. So many tracks and events negotiated their own TV deals, much like NASCAR used to do. Each track negotiated their own TV deals. We had ESPN, ESPN2, TNN, TBS, and network television. Now we balled them all up in 2001, and that was the original series television package between Fox and NBC. Now, as systems have gone around, NBC is the exclusive broadcast partner television-wise of IndyCar. And I think you're going to see some great promotions and some great steps forward in the rebuilding of the once glorified open wheel series. I'm a big fan. I think the racing there is great. I think the personalities are great. There's no playoffs in a championship, and there's no stages in the races. When the green flag drops for the Indianapolis 500, baby, we've got 200 laps around that place. And when the checkered flies, we're done. There's no guaranteed green and white checkered or stoppage of that, nor are there for any of the races. None of them. This is how we race. This is how we decide a championship. I'm giving a big plug to IndyCar on NBCSN this weekend from St. Petersburg, Florida. Before we get off the air tonight, well wishes go out to Tanner Thorson. The USAC star was injured in California in a highway accident. So Tanner, get well soon while your friends and family are pulling for you. And as a tip of our hat to Motor Week Illustrated, where our roots and inspiration began as the racer of the week. Getting to victory lane is the big thing for any racer, and a guy almost went 3 for 3. He came up a little bit short in the Cup race on Sunday, but he did it on Friday, did it on Saturday. When I look for Racer of the Week and the emphasis on the word racer, I'm going to give this week's Racer of the Week award to Kyle Busch. A first, and a third in, how many did we do? 900 miles of racing. So good for him. Quite the drive, and oh so close to winning the sweep of the weekend, which he's done before, likely will do again in his career. Guys, in between our broadcasts, keep up on the world of auto racing with SpeedwayReport.com. This broadcast and all of our past shows are uploaded onto the site. We also have racing articles to read. Uploads of this broadcast and past episodes are on Facebook at Racers Reunion and at Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds. They are on Twitter at Speedway Pat and at Speedway Report, on racersreunion.com in the forum, Google+, LinkedIn, and our YouTube channels. And also, if you want to, big catch up to me on Instagram. I'm at Speedway_Pat. Big thanks to everyone on the Facebook live feed for joining the conversation during the show tonight. I want to thank all of the military past and present for the freedoms we enjoy as Americans in our daily life, including the simple things like bench racing right here on a Monday night. Freedom is not free, and a veteran paid that bill for us. To all of the men and women who are defending freedom and watching Speedway Report, take care of yourselves and come home soon. A special salute to the teachers, school staff, firefighters, police officers, and paramedics in our own communities. They are quiet and modest heroes every single day. God bless and thank you. You have been watching Speedway Report from the shores of Lake Norman in Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina. Please like our Facebook page, Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds, and follow me on Twitter at SpeedwayPat. On the Drag Racing List Facebook page next is Racing and Rockin' with Draglist.com. Bill, John, and Barb will be there with some drag racing talk and some cool music. So if you're on Facebook, head on over to Drag Racing List. We will be back live here on Facebook in 1 week. It will be Monday, March the 11th. We will look at NASCAR Cup from Phoenix, the IndyCar season opener from St. Pete, and a whole lot of short track racing. Thank you all for joining us. I'll see you next week.